On this James the Bike Guy, we're taking a look at the 2020 Santa Cruz Hightower C Carbon S build. We're going to go over some of the features and design of the brand new 2020 Santa Cruz Hightower, as well as find out exactly what it weighs. But before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you can see more videos like this into the future. So the Santa Cruz Hightower is the second generation of Santa Cruz's Hightower lineup. What the Hightower is a really rowdy, playful, but overall usable 29er full suspension mountain bike, and it's really what brought 29er trail bikes into the realm of being a do-it-all bike from Santa Cruz. Now this is the version 2 of the Santa Cruz Hightower, which means it's the second generation of the frame, and there's several really notable upgrades about the second generation of this bike. Now the first and most obvious upgrade of this bike is actually going to be the frame. The frame is now available in both carbon fiber as well as aluminum, which is new for this model, as the previous Hightower was only available carbon. In the carbon frame version, this is going to be available both in a Hightower C build as well as a CC, which is the ultralight version of the frame. But the C build is going to have the same performance characteristics as the CC, and it includes a carbon front triangle as well as a carbon rear triangle. Now the rear triangle on a Santa Cruz bike is really interesting because this is actually all one piece, so it's molded together, which actually allows for a really stiff rear end to this bike. And Santa Cruz actually lifetime warranties the bearings in this setup. So the VPP system, which has two counter-rotating links to the suspension design, have several bearings that are in there, and Santa Cruz will cover the bearings for the lifetime of the bike with the original owner, although you do have to either install them yourself or pay labor to get that job done. Now on this carbon frame, as we look down the Downtube, you'll see great carbon armor on it. It's got armor down at the very bottom to help against rock strikes and smashes like that, and then it's got this guard on the Downtube for both when you grab the bike to pick it up, putting it on a chairlift, or even over the back tailgate of a pickup truck. Now the geometry of this bike, that's where it's going to be shining. So the geo on this bike actually is a little more modern than the old Hightower, and because this bike now has a bike on top of it, the Mega Tower, it's not splitting the line as much as it is dialing in a great trail bike. So the bike actually has a spot in the back end with a flip chip that allows you to have a high or low position on the bike. And in the high position, it's actually going to have a 65.5 degree head tube angle, size large, and a flip to the low position, it'll have a 65.2 degree head tube angle. Now for the reach of the bike, it's nice and long with a 473 millimeter reach in a size large and a stack of 619 millimeters. And in the back end, the bike's going to have a relatively short 433 millimeter chainstay length. So it's going to be really fun and enjoyable geometry for trail riding, enduro riding, and you could even take it to a bike park or two if that's something you wanted to do. Now on the front end of the bike, this is going to be set up with SRAM's Lyric Select Plus fork. This is going to be a 150 millimeter travel fork. It's going to have their new charger damper compression, and then it's going to have a Devon air spring assembly, so you're going to be able to adjust that with air tokens, and it's going to be air adjustable to set it up just the way you want it. Of course, you're running a 15 by 110 through axle up front, and for rear suspension on this bike, it's going to be set up with a RockShox Super Deluxe rear shock in Select Plus. So this is going to have adjustable compression and rebound, and it's going to be a really great shock tuned just for this bike. Drivetrain wise, on the S Plus, you've got this SRAM Eagle GX drivetrain. So it's going to have a SRAM GX rear derailleur. Of course, the cassette on the bike is going to be the SRAM Eagle 10 to 50 tooth cassette. So this is going to be a nice wide 500% range. And then up front, you're going to have a Truvative Stylo 7K crankset. And this 7K crankset is running an Eagle 30-tooth chainring with a max tooth capacity of 36 teeth. Now the bottom bracket on the bike is of course a 73mm threaded bottom bracket, and this is running a dub spindle. And then for a seat post on this bike, you're actually running the RockShox Reverb 175. So this is a 175mm dropper seat post. It's hydraulically actuated and it's all stealth internally routed. And it runs a WTV Silverado Pro saddle on it. For a cockpit, you're gonna have more race face cockpit parts. So this is gonna be a race face Affect R 35mm handlebar. The handlebar itself is going to be 780mm wide with a 35 clamp. And then of course an Affect R stem, also with a 35mm clamp. Head tube of course is going to be tapered 1.5 to 1.125, and it's going to be running SRAM code brakes. So these are an awesome trail and enduro 4-piston brake setup. It's going to be really strong, runs dot fluid for very secure braking, and I like the way they feel because they have a nice linear leverage when you actually pull on the brake. Now the other thing on the cockpit is of course the shift lever style dropper actuation for that dropper post, and that helps pull this bike together. This has some Maxxis Minion DHR2s in a 29 by 2.4. These are tubeless ready tires, EXO protection on them, and it's actually the same tire that you'd run in the front. The other really neat thing that's back here is going to be this wheel set that is laced up to a DT Swiss 370 hub. So the 370 hub is a great hub to have, and it's got race face AR30 offset rims, laced up with 32 spokes, of course 3-cross, and it's DT Swiss competition spokes. Now the really neat thing on these is of course is that they're laced up in Santa Cruz, California, so they get laced up in the same place that your bicycle gets packed and partially assembled before being shipped out. So now that we've taken a look at all the features and the designs of this bike, let's go ahead and find out what it weighs. Actual weight of the Santa Cruz Hightower C Carbon S build comes in at 31.97 pounds. Thanks for watching this video on the 2020 Santa Cruz Hightower C in the S build. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're at it, be sure to hit the subscribe button and also leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video.